Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Constituency projects, also known as zonal intervention projects, are budgeted interventions nominated by lawmakers and funded by the federal government. They are intended to bring direct development to communities through projects like boreholes, classroom blocks, health centers, solar lights, and skill acquisition programs. It's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Mercy Eboko. I hope you had a great weekend. Today, we will discuss how to track what your lawmakers are doing with constituency projects. Now, our guest is Buti Isaac, a program coordinator and social development integrated center. Remember that Ways is all about you. You are the why in the Ways, so join the conversation daily and add your voice. All you need to do is head over to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends and family to join us now. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this topic when I open up the phone line, so just do well to be ready to join the conversation. As always, please point down the quote for today. Now, here's what it says. There can be no integrity without transparency. We'll delve into this much later, but first off, I will head on a quick break, and when I return, I'll tell you what I found in the news. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
You're still watching Ways and what is in the news today. Now, if you remember the conversation we had last week about the compulsory voting bill, however, sounds like good news. It's been withdrawn because the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has withdrawn that controversial compulsory voting bill. Now, according to Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, the reason is following the extensive consultation with broader spectrum of stakeholders. I feel like that's plenty of grammar. Apparently, Nigerians really talked about it. They kicked against it. So maybe that's where you have the spectrum of stakeholders. And he decided to withdraw the bill to amend the Electoral Act, because all this, I mean, that bill, what would have happened was to amend part of the Electoral Act of 2002 to make voting mandatory for all eligible Nigerians. I know that the proponents, I mean, just like we had a conversation with Leonard Anyogo, who was here last week or thereabout, we talked about it. The intention of the bill is it's important, it's thoughtful, I mean, to ensure that everyone is participating in the election. That's the intention of the bill. But however, the method to encourage people to participate in the election is not actually right, because, I mean, how do you... We know that proponents of this bill have made excuses like the likes of Australia, New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, Brazil and what have you, are practicing compulsory voting, and that's the argument and what have you. But we need to understand that if you say that Nigerians are not voting, they're not exercising their franchise, the turnout and all that, you need to begin to look at what the problem is. And when you address the problem, the root cause, why are people not turning out for the elections? Why is it that, you know, people are not interested? What exactly is going on? And if we understand what the problem is, then we can address it from the root. You know, but it's a good one. I mean, kudos to, you know, the Honorable Speaker. If the government does what's great, we just say, well done. They have done a great one. I'm sure that they've listened to the plea of the people. Now, moving away from that, I found another one that's also very interesting. This goes to those who are in Lagos State. Traders and mechanics are given 48 hours to vacate. Now, the Lagos State government has given these traders and mechanics under the Marina Bridge a 48-hour ultimatum. Unfortunately, we don't have a video of how it looks like. I literally would love you to see what it is like. And this is... The reason for this is that it's part of the cleaning exercise in Apapa. If you've gone to Apapa before, I remember sometime we had to go do a report. Sometime ago, go do a report in Apapa. Trust me, you don't even want to know the experience. It was another experience. Apapa is not one place I like to go because, no. So, but yeah, like I said earlier on, the reason for this is that the government is embarking on a cleanup exercise in Apapa and its environment being undertaken by the Lagos State government, and it's also in collaboration with the Nigerian Navy under the Western Naval Command. That's it. The reason for this is they say they want to make Apapa, they clean up the entire place. The environment should be very habitable for those who live around there, and it's not a bad one. So I hope that those who are there, because another question would be those who are actually under the bridges and all the traders, are they really supposed to be there? Because part of this is what causes the traffic and the congestion that we face from time to time. Okay, that's it. So the next story now is the fact that so this is quite interesting because the Saudi Arabian authorities have prevented a very prominent Islamic scholar in Nigeria, Sheikh Gumi, from entering the country to perform this year Hajj pilgrimage. So, you know, there's pilgrimage for Christians and also the Muslims as well. So now this is what happened. Earlier on today, he took to his post on Facebook. He made a post. I'm talking about Sheikh Gumi now, and explained that although he was granted a visa, you know, the Hajj visa, he was denied entry into Medina. Now, according to him, for some obvious reasons, his views about world politics and what have you, the Saudi authorities are uncomfortable about his presence in the Hajj. And after giving him the visa, so well, you also need to understand that every country is sovereign. Every country has a right. They probably might have their reasons why they don't want him, despite the fact that they granted him the visa. They also probably would have a reason why they do not want him in the country. That has not been very public. But what we know is that the federal government is also taking it up. It's more like some sort of intervention, because he did mention that the government is also involved in taking up with the Saudi Arabian authorities. Let's see how all of that pans out. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we're just going to head straight to our conversation. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
You're still watching Ways, hashtag, what are you saying? Now, despite noble intentions of the Constituency project, these projects are often marred by lack of transparency and citizen awareness, poor implementation, or even outright abandonment, an allegation of corruption and misuse of funds, disconnect between project locations, actual community needs. Joining me to make sense of all of this, shed more light, is Buti Isaac, a program coordinator and social development integrated center. Thank you so much, Buti Isaac, for joining me this evening.
A pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, great. But I like to start out. When I saw that we're going to talk about Constituency project, I mean, quite interesting subject and how we can track this project. But first off, can we take this? Can we take it up from this point? There's no explicit provision in the Nigerian Constitution for Constituency projects. So, how can the citizens track projects that there's no provision for?
Okay, so first of all, we need to understand that constituency project came as a result of the need to extend the dividend of democracy to the people at the grassroots. It was an idea that was conceived in 1999 at the beginning of the Fourth Republic, when the then President Olusegun Obasanjo felt it would be important to ensure that citizens across the length and breadth of Nigeria benefit from the dividend, of democracy. And so the idea, even though not recognized by law, is actually a strategy by the government to take democracy down to the grassroots. And since then, it has become a very integral part of the post-democracy governance landscape, where lawmakers have the opportunities to nominate specific projects that address the needs of their constituencies. So this idea was supposed to ensure that no part of Nigeria is abandoned. No part of Nigeria is left undeveloped. And so then, since then, yearly, the federal government in its annual budget have been making provision for these projects. In the budget, it is described as the zonal intervention projects. So ever since then, every lawmakers from their various states, from the various constituencies, have the privilege of nominating projects that will benefit their people, and hence it becomes the people's project. So coming to the question of how can the people then track this process or track the implementation of the zonal intervention project or the constituency project, as we know it to be, There are certain requirements in terms of what the citizens need to know and do before they are able to track what exactly the lawmakers are doing with constituency projects. Number one thing, or one prerequisite to doing the tracking is to arm themselves with information, to equip themselves with data on what is available for the implementation of what project, in what constituency, in what local government, in what communities, at what rate, by which government agency. They need to have this information handy. So the question is, how will they get this information? There are 4 critical areas where they can get this information, places where they can get this information. Number 1 is through the budget itself, the national budget. And if you go to the Ministry of Budget and Planning, you will see the zonal intervention project for each year, budget for each year. And so from that budget, citizens can track the exact project that is meant to be implemented in their constituencies, in their communities. You can track the exact project, the exact amount, the location, the implementing agency or ministries or department that is responsible for the implementation of that project. So first, the citizens need to have this information handy. It is when you have this information handy that they will be able to engage, to track if the projects were done or not, if the funds have been embezzled, if contractors have run away with the funds, they can begin to track. But first, they need to arm themselves with that information. And another source through which they can get this information is, for example, the mobile application developed by Other Paper, Construct. That application allows citizens at the comfort of their homes, on their phones, to track what project comes to their constituency, what amount is allocated, which location is this project, who is implementing it, and all that. So it's easier with the kind of app that Other Paper, for instance, developed, Construct. So citizens can begin to know what exactly is in the zonal intervention project for their constituencies, for their community. And then also the tracker by budget is another tool, digital tool that can be used, a technological tool that can be used to track project implementation, constituency project implementation. So when citizens are able to go through all of these processes to gather the needed information, the right information, then they will be able to engage. And let us not also forget that the ICPC, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, for instance, also has a website where you have details of all the constituency projects approved for the year, the states of the projects, the one done, the one not done, and also has possibility of mechanisms for citizens to report cases of abandoned projects, cases of non-implemented projects, and all of that. So this information will help the citizen to, first of all, be grounded on what can be done or how they can track constituency projects in their community. And then after doing that is to now identify the ministry, the department, or the agency that is responsible for the implementation. Because the general notion that people have is, oh, it is the lawmakers that implement. No, the role of the lawmaker is to nominate the project. And of course, that does not also overrule the fact that we know that some of them jostle for this project in order to implement it and then lobby the agencies to give them the project. That is some of the things that we allegedly add. But then it is not their duty to implement, but rather it is their duty to nominate and then to follow through. So if the lawmaker sees the constituents as partner in progress, it is also the duty of the lawmaker to publish information around the nominated projects to his constituents so that they begin to follow, track, and see how far it is implemented. So the lawmaker, in collaboration with the citizens, will be the watchdog to ensure effective implementation of that
Booty
project.
Isaac, I'd like to, cut you in there, in the sense that, don't you think that the fact that we don't have all of this, the gray areas, the fact that it's not the Constitution, it's not really cut out. Then I know that you've talked about the fact that it's in the budget, it's being captured in the budget and all of that. But don't you think that this is what's making it not living up to its expectation? Don't you think that we should have actually, revisited, there should be some sort of constitutional review somewhat to actually have this captured in the Constitution? Maybe it will make it easier. Don't you think so?
What the Constitution recognizes is the national budget. And hence, we cannot bring an addendum to that budget. But rather, what we can do is to have a policy, an executive policy that actually guides the implementation of these projects. So there's need for a framework that allows the implementation to be legitimized, such that it will not be looked only from the prism of national budget, but rather special purpose projects.
But that's where the problem lies, because I mean, you have stated that it's easy to track the project, it's easy to monitor. You are saying that we need to have an executive order for implementation, but the entire process is flawed, because there are reports by the ICPC and other bodies showing cases where these projects are sometimes abandoned. These projects are ghost projects. Like you said already, these legislatures lobby. So if we have a law that states clearly how these projects, from the inception, I mean, if we look at the policy cycle from inception to execution, it states clearly, don't you think that we probably might just have development across the entire country?
I agree totally with that. Yes, that will happen. But the fact is, who will enact that law? The same people who lobby and struggle and jostle for projects to be given to them, collect money and not do anything, we expect that they will willingly want to pass any law, any regulatory framework to guide that process. So for me, the mentality of our lawmakers is that it is their own shop money. Rather than seeing it as the money for the constituents or the constituencies, they see it as their own fund. So when they get this money, by whatever means they get it, so they go back to the communities or to their constituents and dole out tokens in form of gifts to the people. And then they say at the composition of the various budget items in the budget, in the constituency project budget, that is the zonal intervention project budget, you will discover so many frivolous expenditures, so many unaligned expenditures. And you ask yourself, for example, you see a project under the Ministry of, under the agricultural sector, and what they are talking about is how to train people, empower the youth to do something that does not even relate to that sector. There are several cases of that in the you will see, for instance, Ministry of Health, and then you are seeing street lights as a project under the health sector. You are seeing road construction under water resources, different things like that. And there are several other ones that you cannot even trace because of the obscurity of the location. They will not mention the exact location where these things are located. So you just say, okay, in a community, for instance, let's say in a community in those states or in local government, they just say street light is also local government or so constituent. And there are several communities in that constituency, but yet they are not specific on. So these are issues, and these are issues that the regulation will have helped to address if they will allow such regulation to take place. But in the absence of that regulation, because we know that such regulation will not see the light of the day, it is now becomes a responsibility of the executive to find a way to institutionalize and criminalize any corrupt practices around that. And I'm happy with the work ICPC is doing, tracking this project, several billions have been recovered as a result of the work of ICPC. And if there is a law or there is a framework that strengthens that oversight, that monitoring process, then you can imagine what ICPC will do with these lawmakers. And you will begin to see them becoming more responsible, reaching out to the people with the exact project that are supposed to get to them. And not just nominating projects. The process of nomination itself should involve the people. The people should be consulted. It should be a bottom-top approach, not top-bottom approach as we are saying now. Let the nomination come from the constituencies. Let the people be the ones who tell the lawmaker, this is what we want, and let the lawmaker push that into the budget. And then it will be easy for the citizens to track. But as it stands, many people do not even know what is in the budget for their constituency. Many people do not even know what amount is given for any project. Because of the constituency project tracking that my organization did in the recent time, so we discovered that you get a community, they tell you, we don't know. We saw this pole has been mounted for many years, no lights. They have not brought the light. We don't even know who is doing what. These are kind of instances we're seeing with constituency. So I agree with you that if we have a law, which I doubt we have, it will help to regulate that process.
But shouldn't that be where the conversation, where we should be directing the conversation in order to, get to this point where we are? So I would just allow you answer that in the second question. Again, I know that senators and House of Representatives are expected to have constituency offices in every district or where there are. So I'd like to ask you, you're out there in the field. Can you say really that, constituency offices are really there in its real sense, not just on paper?
It is there on paper only. I can tell you for free that many of these constituencies do not have constituency office.
So how can the people now track this project?
Track them. They don't. And again, some of these lawmakers, after they have been elected to power and they move to Abuja or to move to the State House of Assemblies, they do not, most of them do not go back to their constituency to either update the people or to give back what the people want to them. And hence, even some who have the office in terms of physical building, there's no day you ever find them present there or anytime, except maybe on festive occasions, and they manage to just go there to give out rice and beans and what have you. So the idea of constituency project, from the way the lawmakers are implementing it, is totally defeated. Because one, democracy is far from the grassroots. The people at the grassroots are not really benefiting from the dividend of democracy. And to that extent, the purpose for which that initiative was developed in 1999 has been defeated. And hence, we need to review that process. So either we are reviewing that process or we are saying that there should be a regulatory framework for that process. And again, if you also want to look at it in depth, you will begin to see that there is duplication of effort because, for instance, we have the regional development commissions whose responsibilities are to make sure the grassroots, the community, benefit from government, from the process of governance. And this development commission, for example, we have the NDDC in the Niger Delta, happen to be doing the same thing that the budget, the zonal intervention budget, makes provision for. So you get to a community, and because somebody related to somebody in political position is living in that community or comes from that community, and then you will see street lights every 20 meters away.
Isaac Botti, we need to go on a break now. Let's quickly take a short break. Hold on to that thoughts. When we return, the conversation will continue right here. Please stay with us.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Well, thank you for staying tuned. And if you just tuned in, we are discussing how to track what your lawmakers are doing with constituency projects. Yeah, this project's around you in your constituency. So please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending an SMS or WhatsApp to the number 081 8038 4663. SMS, WhatsApp to the number 081 8038 4663. That's the number to send your messages to, SMS and WhatsApp to that number. The phone lines are also open. It means that you can call the number 07025 007749 or 0701424 and 24 and 20. Now let's hear what you have to say. Isaac, thank you so much for still staying with us. Now let's move on to some of these projects. From the time of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo up until now, you look at some of the projects that should be implemented, and so boreholes and classroom blocks and what have you. Don't you think that, I mean, at this point in time, we should be having more tangible projects? Again, do you think that some of this project actually reflects the interest and the needs of these communities and these constituencies?
Well, first, as I mentioned earlier, it will have met the interest, the needs and the aspiration of the constituencies if the process of nomination starts with them. If they were actually parts of the nomination process, that is, they develop or conceptualize what their need is and present to the lawmaker or the lawmakers, and they in turn present to the executive for proper budgeting. But because what we are seeing is that most of the times the lawmaker rather see any of those nominations as an act of what is it called? Being generous to the people. So they feel that the will of the people does not matter. Rather, what matters is we have given them something, even though what was given was not what the people actually need. So therefore, at the end of the day, even when the projects are implemented, most of the times you get to see that they are not in use. Nobody is using them because the people do not understand why such projects should be, when what they actually need was up. We have an instance of a community where borehole was done for the community people, and on getting there, the people said they don't even use the borehole. Why? Because there are women who fetch water there, prefer to go to the stream where they have the opportunity to interact, to relate, build social cohesion, than staying close to the house where they will fetch and they will not have the opportunity to interact. And then they abandon that project. And so if that community had been the one that nominated what exactly they want to the lawmakers, do we think they're going to abandon it? Of course not. So that is one of the reasons. So most of the times you discover that the projects situated in those constituencies are not what the people need. And hence, most of them are abandoned. Hence, they are not, the people are not interested in tracking the implementation. They are not interested if the projects were done or they were not done, because it does not, the projects do not come from them. And so these are issues with the constituency project. And that is why what we advocate for is that the approach to nominating constituency projects should come from below, from the people, and then fits into the national budget, like even the normal budget itself. That is how the process should be. And it should be tied to the specific needs of the people. That is when the people can actually say they are benefiting from the government. But as it stands, most of these projects are nowhere to be found. One, and when they are done, they are either abandoned, and nobody cares if they are in operation or not, because does not reflect their will, does not reflect their needs, nor does it reflect their aspiration. So hence, they are abandoned. So that is a big challenge that needs to be addressed to continue to implement constituency projects. The lawmaker need to recognize that they should go back to the grassroots. They should consult with the people. And through that process of consultation, identify what the people really want, and then put it into the budget for them to.
Yes, I mean, you have said what you have said totally, because in trying to understand is how can the people be part of the process? Where do they meet these lawmakers? A lot of them don't really stay around. They stay at the center. And so that's why it's very important to have a constituency office, because if there's a constituency office, this is where the people can communicate. This is where the people can send, their concerns, to the office, and there can be some sort of synergy. We can now see policies implementing the interest of the people. But you said something which also caught my interest, and for me is that now that we have, in the budget, there's provision for this constituency project. And these projects, when they are listed in the budget but not executed, is there any consequence?
Of course, there's never been any consequence. The only consequence we can say are the consequences that come from ICPC tracking some of these projects. And remember, for instance, the 2024 zonal intervention project has over 2,000 projects nominated across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Yes, the ICPC has the, the Constituency and Executive Project Monitoring Group. But how many of these communities can they reach? How many can they really track? How many of those who have mismanaged the constituency funds can actually be tracked? Unless the people are involved, unless the people are tracking and reporting incidences of non-implementation or abandonment of projects. And that is when ICPC begins to track. So first and foremost is the fact that there needs to be a system that allows proper tracking, proper monitoring, getting the people involved such that they are able to serve as the third eyes or the watchdog on the lawmakers. And then the constituency offices should function. They should not just be built for the purpose of deceiving the people, but rather for the purpose of really serving the people. And it is until that is done, we may not be able to get anything out of constituency project. In the last 1 year, we have tracked over 300 constituency projects, and I can tell you for free, in a report that will be launched very soon, we discovered that over 50% of these projects exist nowhere. You get to community, they tell you, no, we don't have such. And you walk around, you see nothing. And yet somebody somewhere has collected the money, and that's the end of it. And that is why we say even the procurement process, and this goes to Bureau of Public Procurement now. So I think the Bureau need to specifically set up a mechanism or a committee or whatever to track constituency projects, procurement processes specifically. They need to do that. And until they are able to do that, they will be able to pay attention to what the lawmakers are doing with constituency funds and with the constituency projects. And they should be able to hold the implementing agency or ministry responsible for poor procurement processes that allows for corruption and mismanagement of constituency funds. And then there should be a report, either a quarterly, a biannual, or a yearly report specific on constituency projects. So these are the number of projects that were approved for the 2025, for instance. At the end of 2025 or in the middle of 2025, there should be an update. How much of these funds have been released? How many of these projects have been implemented? And then the people begin to follow. Then we'll be able to see the performance. But if we are still following these methods of implementing constituency projects, then it's not achieving anything. And then it should be scrapped. The initiative should be suspended. And let the regional development offices, organizations take control of their regions and the development of their regions with the funds allocated to them for that purpose.
It's very unfortunate and very sad that despite budgetary allocation for constituency projects, sometimes these projects don't exist anywhere. You can't find them. And no one is held responsible. Nobody is held accountable. Nobody is made to face the law. There's no punishment. There's no consequence whatsoever. And everybody's just moving on like everything is fine. But with what we have already on ground, let's, stay on. Are there tools or platforms that people, the public, wherever it is that they are in different parts of the country, can track these projects?
Yes, I mentioned in my earlier comment, a very vital and very important technological tool that has been developed to help citizens to track constituency projects is the Construct by Order Paper. The organizations deem it fit and necessary to give access to members of the public, to the people, at the comfort of their home by just downloading the app on their phones. They can track constituency projects. They can track the location. They can track state of implementation. The Construct is a very vital tool that the citizens can use. Apart from assessing the budget itself, which most of the times people find it very difficult to navigate through the cumbersome and bulky budget documents that most of the times are filled with frivolities. But with this kind of application, people can track in the comfort of their home. You can know. Then after tracking, you can begin to ask questions. Budget also has similar, something related to that, the tracker, which is also to enable citizens to track project implementation in their communities, in their constituency, the funds allocation, and how the fund is being utilized. This can be done. And then the ICPC, and this would be, again, a call to ICPC. Beyond the website, I think ICPC rather collaborate with these organizations that already have something on ground and build on it, or they develop their own app that allow the citizens to track and report at the comfort of their homes on their phones, even with little or no or limited data. So if we have this kind of system strongly available, as we have in case of Construct and Tracker, then we will be able to advocate for more citizens or campaign for more citizens' involvement and engagement around constituency project implementation in Nigeria. And again, mechanism to punish or to sanction offenders, particularly contractors. And again, Nigerians need to know that the system, some of the systems we have in Nigeria allows them to track and know who is responsible for what project, which contractor is responsible. For example, the beneficial ownership register by the Corporate Affairs Commission is a valuable tool, a very vital tool that can be used to track contractors that have collected constituency funds, constituency project funds, and have not done it or have abandoned. You will know who is the beneficial owner of that company. And then you can put up your report to ICPC. And be rest assured that they will follow through. They will track it. They will track such person. So if the citizens are not playing their parts, then there will be limited progress in terms of sanctioning or prosecuting offenders. And that is why we encourage every citizen to key into the use of this application, the cost track. For instance, everybody should have it on their phones and know what is going on in your constituency. Get involved, engage, so that somebody will not sit down in Abuja or somewhere and be eating the money that is meant for your development or for the development of your community. So these are available tools that people should take advantage of to ensure that we correct the narrative around the negative narrative around constituency project implementations in Nigeria.
And as we close this conversation down, do not forget that you can call the number. The phone lines are open. Go ahead and call us and let's hear what you have to say. I would like to hear your thoughts on this one. You can also send an SMS. Paraventure, you're unable to call us via phone, so you can text or WhatsApp to the number 081-8038-4663. That's the number to send your SMS and WhatsApp to. You can also call the number 070-250-07749 or 0701-4220. I feel like that part's quite confusing. Let's talk about, Isaac, let's talk about red flags now. Are there red flags that citizens should watch for or look out for when tracking constituency project?
Okay, so the first thing the citizens should look out for is, one, knowing the lawmakers. Again, that's one of the things. Even though they were the ones, most of them were voted for by the people, they do not know their lawmakers. So they need to know them. They need to be able to engage them and work with them to ensure that they are doing the right thing. So for me, the moment your lawmaker becomes evasive, they are not showing up in your constituency, in your community, the same community where they have come to campaign and lobby for your votes, after they have won and you never see them after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that's a red flag anyway. It tells you that nothing tangible will happen through that lawmaker. And so they should watch out for such persons and find a way to engage them. Then two, they should watch out for any time contractor comes to their communities and just brought tractors and drop tractors and go. Questions should be asked. We've seen instances where tractors and equipment were abandoned in project site for years. So with the moment you begin to see that, you should ask questions about the project. What project are they supposed or were they supposed to implement in this community? Under what constituency? Under what ministry, department, or agency? Then, if you get this information, if it is a federal project, a constituency project, then you can do an FOI request to the ministry, to the department, to the agency, requesting for the details of the procurement on that project, or details of the contractor. And if you manage to get that, find out who is this contractor. Use the beneficial ownership register, for instance, to track who is the contractor. And then when you see that, package all of this information and send to ICPC, send to AFCC, and they'll be tracking them. So that, for me, the lackadaisical attitude of the lawmakers and even the contractor represents a serious red flag when it comes to implementing constituency projects. And then again, is that the people should be conscious of what is in the budget. You don't just elect the lawmakers and abandon them. Whenever they pass the budget, you are not interested in what is in that document. They should make it a point of duty to check what is in the document. Request for copies of the document if you cannot get online. And you can actually get some of these budget documents. In fact, all of these budget documents online through the budget Ministry of Budget and Planning website. So these are things citizens should watch out for. The vision or a designation or nature of the lawmaker in their constituency tells or should tell them that nothing good will happen.
All right. Isaac, we have to, go at this point in time. It's been a great time talking to you and having you shed light on this particular issue. We hope that Nigerians will wake up to their responsibility of holding our leaders and our lawmakers accountable across different parts of the country. Once again, thank you for joining the conversation. Well, I will never understand, and I will continue to wonder and ponder and ask questions why our lawmakers would always focus on short-term projects like boreholes, sewing machines, rather than long-term projects. From 1999 up until 2025, we're still, boreholes, we're still having some of these projects. I think there was one certain project, even though there was a disclaimer from Khan, if I'm not mistaken. But then again, I will just leave you with this one, that constituency projects funds not political favor. They are public funds. Those projects are actually public funds for the public and not political favors. And so Nigerians should wake up. You should wake up and hold and follow the money and hold your leaders accountable. Although the argument would always be that there's no constitutional responsibility or constitutional provision to constituency project. However, there's a budgetary allocation to this every other time. And that's where we say thank you so much for being part of the conversation. We'll definitely do this tomorrow. Now, before I go, do ensure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and let's continue with the conversation off air. Most importantly, follow us on all of our social media platforms for engagement. And remember to like, share, and comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us now and follow us as well. Now, if you missed out on our quote, this is what he says. There can be no integrity without transparency. I hope to see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Messi Ebokpo.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Hey guys, it's Oluchi for Ways Breakfast. Thanks for always tuning in. Our research has shown that you're probably not subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you never miss out on our latest content and stay in the loop with all things Ways. If the channel grows, it means more great content for you guys. So hit that subscribe button now.